Yeah.
And here, we can have her flex this one, hold this guy up, just like we were doing before. So now we've stabilized the low back. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to resist hip flexion, okay? I don't have to worry about the knee, all right? So I'm gonna resist hip flexion. Go ahead, draw this knee towards your nose. Draw this knee up towards your nose. Come on, now work. And 10, stop and relax. Okay, so this is the autogenic position. So I can go into from this position. Nope, keep that up there because I don't want you cheating on me. Okay, so here's where we get our static component of that stretch. We can do the static component of the stretch for 15 seconds as well, and then rest. Okay, good? So this is the autogenic. How are we going to do reciprocal?
You gotta get the glute.
Okay, now we have to, again, iliopsoas is the agonist. What muscle is the antagonist? Okay, good job. What muscle is the antagonist? It's going to be the gluteals. So how can I activate the gluteals? It's going to be hip extension. So in what position do I want to put the patient?
Where I had her.
Where I had her before.
Just pushing down against you,
Yeah.
not pulling.
Now I can do two things. I can put her into the prone position and have her lift up and resist that lifted up position. And then how do I get the static stretch component where we showed you the first time? So let's do that the first time, like we did the first time. Prone, face plant, and now I'm now on the opposite side than where we were before. And what I can ask her to do, wait a minute, how do we isolate gluteals?
Straight leg.
Oh, you don't have that one yet?
That's okay, they should figure it out, just by how the muscles move.
Okay, how do I isolate gluteals? If I'm like this, right, if I'm like this, I have both hamstrings and gluteals active. If I bend the knee, now I've put the hamstrings at a disadvantage, didn't I? Okay, so what I can do is ask her to lift her knee off of the table, okay? Hold, hold, hold. I can begin to add some resistance. We're never really strong here, so I don't want to blow her out too badly. And relax. Okay. Now we're in this position. Remember how I added that static component here. Give me that posterior pelvic tilt. Flatten out back here. Good. Now we're getting a little bit of a stretch back here. Good. Holding here for 15 seconds, yes.
When you have her contract, should she be abducted a little bit, or is she okay?
Abducted, I like that. So now we're isolating a little bit more, okay? We could do that. Good. We're in midline. We're okay. All right. So this is one way to do the reciprocal inhibition. Flip over to supine. Now again, I'm back to the opposite side. So what we were initially working with, I could do extension. Okay, so push your leg into me. Good. Push, push, push for 15 seconds. Push, 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 and relax. So now that we're in there, I want this knee up towards your nose. And we're doing our stretch. Okay? Yeah? Actually, that one's still the autogenic. That's the reciprocal. Okay? Good. Then to do the combined, now I have to resist hip flexion and then push into hip extension for the combined. Okay? So it's going to look like she's locking her pelvis for us. Flex your knee. Yep, flex your hip. Hold 15 seconds. Hold, hold, hold. And now push down into extension. Push. So I'm getting that autogenic, the reciprocal component is the push into the elongated position. Okay?
And you combine the autogenic always first.
Autogenic is always first, and then you are actively contracting into the reciprocal position. Okay? Good? Yeah?
And is the time frame always 15 seconds on,
15 seconds on.
even with the combined? So it'll be 15 and then 15.
15, right.
Okay.
15, 15. And then the rest now becomes 30.
30.
Okay? The rest becomes 30. So when you look in Kistner and Colby, thank you. Good job. Okay? Good job? Make sense? Okay, the part of the chapter in Kistner and Colby, they talk about creep, they talk about stress, relaxation.
Trying to hold your hand.
And when you try to kind of figure out what that's talking about, then the last chapter talks about alternating stretch. Creep is all about applying force continuously over time. Stress and relax is all about if you stress for a period of time, you've got to relax for that opposite, for the same amount of time. So if you're stretching for 15 seconds, you've got to relax for 15 seconds. And then that alternating stretch, that's what that ballistic stretch is all about. And when you read through that particular paragraph, it talks about how you actually can get damage. And there was some research on biological tissue that you actually get tendon damage with that ballistic stretch. So we know that because that's what we talked about in class, right? Yeah.
One last question. So after you do any of the PNF, you will also go into still 30 seconds of a static stretch, right?
You have that option.
Okay.
You have that option. If you do that static stretch for 30 seconds, okay, then you need to get that relaxation for that period of the static stretch plus your PNF stretch time, which is 15.
Okay.
So now we're talking about a 15-second rest before we go into that second repetition of what you decided to do.
Okay.
Okay? Now the thing is, this is all right, but you've got to be able to tell your examiner that you know what the rules are. So if Professor Joyner says, why did you choose 15 seconds? Why are you resting for 45? Why are you doing that static stretch at the end there? Okay? You know how to, you're smart, you know how to respond, right? Okay? Good? This was a good group? All right, so what was your next one? Your next one was?
Golden ray reflection. Okay, so for passive,
What I'm understanding right now.
what we're gonna do for passive, I'm gonna support here on her distal humerus, and then sort of do a nice little shift here, halfway, and there's her passive.
Good. What do we like about Nick's
Return.
technique?
Body mechanics,
Good
stabilization.
stabilization.
Good stabilization. Did Nick get full range of motion on that passive?
No, I could have done a little more, I think.
He has her set up
Mostly.
correctly in that the pillow isn't stopping her, correct? Okay, so at least we're in the right ballpark, so you're doing a good job. And how is Nick able to control substitution with that passive range of motion?
He's on a brush, so the weight is.
Supine, that supine position, the body weight is keeping the thorax from coming up, which would be the substitution. The other substitution is watching what's happening at the glenohumeral joint as it approximates the acromion process. So what did he do to be sure the humeral head cleared the acromion process?
He had his hand.
Twist it.
Oh,
Turn it rotated.
You've gotta allow for external rotation. So the thumb, the best thing to do is to let the thumb travel in the direction of the movement for passive flexion. How are you going to do active assisted?
Active assisted. Good practice.
Active assisted.
Okay.
Get the cane.
So, active assisted, I can have her sit up for this, or side of the table. Lower to make it safe, but put your arm forward on this one. So, if we're doing the left upper extremity, arm straight out, and then she can just lift with her right, and then.
Or do you like where you're positioned in terms of
Oh, no, I mean,
providing her with stability?
Yeah, I would be on this side. I'm just trying to not be in.
That's okay.
Okay.
And I probably wouldn't be on that side, I'd probably
No?
be behind her.
Behind her.
Cause look at
You
her
want to support her
substitution, look at
shoulder.
her
You can support her
substitution.
shoulder. You want, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so how can you help control substitution? Ah, good.
Stabilize your
Uh-huh.
scat.
Good,
Yeah.
good. And go ahead and do that active assisted, and then watch what's happening at the scapula and watch what's happening at that upper thorax. Shayna,
Kind of arching her back.
exaggerate that
Yeah,
arch,
she's arching
right.
her back.
So Nick, you've got to control her from doing that. You gotta
Okay.
say, don't do that.
So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna put my hand here? No, I'm not gonna do that, right?
Lay her
You lay her down.
Oh, okay.
Or, what I would do is, when you keep that chest nice and flat, don't arch, tuck down, yeah, good. Leave it there, okay, leave it there, and now come on up. Good, leave it nice
She's still
there, and bring
arching.
it down. She still does,
She's done.
yeah, so she really has to go
She has to
supine.
be supine.
She has to lay down.
She has to be supine, because
Okay.
she can't follow directions.
That was pretty subtle.
She can't follow directions.
Goddamn vertebrae.
Shayna, but envision someone who's 80 years old. Are you gonna have that position?
They
for
can't do
somebody?
it either.
No, they can't do it.
They can't do it either. So what is your alternative? If they're unable to follow directions, and again, I don't mean that in any way negative. Sometimes your patients cannot do the sorts of things that you want them to do. So get to the alternative. The alternative now is supine, and where we started before.
So the reason why we started out here at 90 is because if we started out here, the elbow would be flexed. So that's what we started.
Great, good job. Okay, next group.
Stretching wrist flexors and then active assisted elbow extension. Point to the camera,
See what I can do. Yep.
Stabilizing the forearm. You can pull it down towards the floor with your other hand. Twice for 30 seconds. Hold 30 seconds.
Very
Wrist
cool.
flexor stretch. And
Wrist,
then
I'm sorry, wrist flexor?
Wrist. Yes.
All right, so tell me what muscle we're talking about, what muscles we're talking about for wrist flexors?
Wait.
Tell me what muscles we're talking about.
So that's flexor carpi, ulnaris, and radialis.
And flexor carpi radialis.
Pulmonaris longus.
Oh, and pulmonaris longus. Where is the proximal muscle attachment?
Wait, yeah, ulnar side. Okay, so she could radially, well, medial, or ulnar.
Now I'm asking, does that muscle cross the elbow joint?
Yes, it does.
Yes,
Cause
it
you're
does.
missing two.
Media
Humerus.
epicondyle
It's on the humerus.
Yeah.
So it needs
You're
to be like
missing
this.
the digitorum and superficialis while you're there.
Flexor digitorum profundus and flexor digitorum
She should,
superficialis.
her elbow should be
And her
extended.
fingers.
So her fingers are super.
And fingers extended. Okay.
So you missed
Yeah.
fingered. Talk about a multi-joint muscle, okay? So we've got the elbow, the wrist, and the fingers that you need to all elongate.
Toughen it
Somebody asks us more about multi-joint, there's your
That's your
multi-joint.
multi-joint.
down. So should she go like here and then pull down?
This is a good question. at what she's doing. You like that position? Okay?
And then
So
she
she's
uses her
not,
hand.
she's not elevating the shoulder, but we are definitely extending the elbow. We're extending the wrist, we're extending the fingers. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Good, you like that? There's your static position, okay? Now, you
And for,
better show us.
Gotcha, autogenic.
Okay.
So then she's just gonna push up, for autogenic, she's gonna push up in my hand. Like, keep your elbow down. Yeah, so just, yeah.
Now,
15
are
seconds.
you only resisting at the wrist and hand?
I didn't think that they were strong.
But they
elbow
do,
functions.
okay?
So
So
go ahead,
these
keep your
are,
elbow down.
you have to remember where the muscle is. The muscle is a participant in elbow flexor as well as wrist flexors, right? And finger flexors.
Push up again.
And flex.
Forearm is in.
There you go. Now you got it.
15 seconds have passed, and now relax.
And go into and extend. Yeah.
So that'd be.
All right, now Farwa's getting a workout. Okay, good.
So that's our autogenic, and then for reciprocal. There. Press your hand to my hand, so just one in my hand. Ready, 15 seconds.
Guys, look at where,
This one.
you gotta be a little more distal. Good. The reason that I wanted to correct that hand position is that when you are more distal on that long bone, it takes less resistance on your part to overcome the strength that your patient has. Now, this is a relatively small muscle, doesn't have a whole lot of strength, but guys, work smart, don't work hard. So work smart in that when you use that longer lever arm, you don't have to push quite as hard in order to achieve the results that you're going for.
Can you show me the hand placements again?
Yeah. So distal.
Okay.
So that's reciprocal.
So you're not really stabilizing anything? Okay.
He's done a nice job with the towel roll there,
Okay.
so that the stabilization is good, and the position on the table. So if she wanted to substitute, what's she gonna do? She's gonna do this, she's gonna do that, so,
Okay.
you know, so positioning like that is very smart,
Nice.
okay? Good. You wanna try the combined?
Just go,
Start with autogenic.
first. So bend elbow. Bend your hand in your hand, with the forearm in the other hand.
And Daniel, I think I'd look at your hand placement on your right hand, go as distal as you can on that long bone. Yeah,
Gotcha.
good.
And,
Okay,
step in
and
again.
now push into the extended, good.
You want a full 15-second contraction going
Yes,
out.
yes.
For
Good.
15 seconds.
Okay, good. All right, what was your active or passive? Active
Yeah,
assisted or passive?
Active assisted elbow extension. So she'll be supine. And if it's her right side that's affected, her left hand is going to be supporting distally. So her left hand's going right there. And then she's extending up towards the ceiling.
And that's active assisted or passive? Which one are you doing?
That's
here?
active assisted.
Okay. Why have you chosen elbow extension? Why have you chosen against gravity?
So gravity's not helping her, she's actually having to work against gravity.
Could you do a gravity minimized or gravity eliminated position?
And that would be seated.
And that's gravity assisted.
Oh, what was it?
Sideline.
Oh,
Side.
yeah. Gravity
Gravity
eliminated.
eliminated.
Okay. Okay, good,
Yeah.
good. And then how would you do passive range of motion? For elbow, this is elbow
Extension.
extension.
Not necessarily tricep, just elbow extension. Okay, so right here.
Are we okay with that technique? Okay, that's an okay technique. All right, Why did these guys choose to do supine? Why did they choose the supine position?
Because the pillow was here, but normally we could just do seated or any position, or like a passive.
For the.
Oh, substitute, scapular substitution. I got you.
Guys, remember, this is the question that we're gonna ask. We're gonna ask you that question. We're gonna say, why did you choose this position? Did this position improve stabilization? Did this position allow you to isolate what it was that you were looking to isolate, whichever muscle or whichever movement we're asking for? Okay? We're going to look at those hand positions. We're going to say, why did you choose this hand position? Guys, get ready for the next person. We're not recording yet, so we'll get ready for the next person and then hand off.
So, I'm just setting up real quick. The muscle that we had to stretch was the biceps. So we're starting her off with a static stretch. We're going to put the hand in supination, pronation. Yeah. And then what she's going to do, is that comfortable? I want you to walk forward just as much as is comfortable until you feel the stretch. So go ahead and take a little stretch. There you go. So we're elongating the bicep muscle over the elbow and over the shoulder as well.
Okay. That's a good one for the long head of the biceps. How could you incorporate short head as well?
The short head, she could step to the left. So we could get her into
Very
some
nice.
abduction.
Very nice. So you would incorporate both the long head and the short head. Good job.
What you need to do is open your feet.
Didn't know that was.
Oh, how come?
You don't have to
How come she needs to step to the side? 'Cause I didn't think that the short head had a separate function. It's just the location.
It's just the location.
Okay.
It's the location. So think
Further
about where the
away, you're
location
stretching
is.
it more.
The distal attachment is still down here
Uh-huh.
in the antebrachial fossa,
Mhm.
but then where is the proximal attachment? It's on the
Coracoid.
coracoid process.
Okay. So separating. Okay.
Yeah, I feel that.
And he's gonna go ahead and get you to sit down. So we are gonna go to some of the PNF. The first we are gonna go to is the autogenic, so that we are gonna tie the bicep out. So what we wanna do is we're gonna have her flex her elbow and her shoulder. And from here, I'm going to give her some resistance right here and right here. So she's going to pull down on my hand and resist me pushing down on that elbow.
Okay, let's look at those hand placements.
Would you prefer
Okay.
this?
I like that, and then your left hand, get as long a lever arm as you can get.
There's some guns here. It's hard to get up.
I know, I know, she's got some guns. So we gotta watch out, but see how distal you can get on that humerus. You're a young person right now, you're very strong. But remember, you're gonna be doing this all day long, so work smart, don't work hard, okay?
Okay, so next we're going to go to the reciprocal inhibition. So we want to activate the tricep. We're going to keep her in the same position, and what she's going to do is she's going to pull down on this hand and extend against this hand.
Good. Let me look at your hand placement on that left hand, good, okay? Good. Don't grip, good, there you go, okay, good job, okay? And then show us combine, see if you can show us combine.
So the autogenic always goes first. So from here, what you're going to do is you're going to pull this up, and you're going to pull this into your shoulder. So go ahead, boom. So I go for 15 seconds, and then she would relax, and then I would go to the opposite.
Okay, for that 15 seconds. Okay, good, nice, all right, what's your motion?
So we had movement for range of motion of passive wrist extensors. So what we're going to have her do is place your hand up here, And if she wanted to do it herself, she could stabilize the hand joint we're going to fix. So that way, and she could bring it up for passive. Or if I was doing it, I would just place my hand in the same area and bring her hand up. Or her wrist into wrist extension.
Okay, alright. How does active assisted work?
So what we could do for active assisted, if she just wanted to turn towards this, she could place both wrists on this. And then as she flexes one, or extends one, she could extend the other.
Boy, that device is getting a workout today. Good job. Okay, thanks guys. Get ready for our next group.
Through we're gonna start out with the range of motion. We're gonna do active assisted first with internal rotation at the shoulder. So basically the elbows are flexed 90 degrees. And she's going to hold that with the non-affected side, like towards the edge of the cane. And then she's gonna use it to rotate the shoulder.
Okay. So you're doing lateral rotation?
Internal.
Oh,
So she
I'm
would
sorry,
be
medial
pulling-
rotation,
yeah.
yeah. So it's drawing in across.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. All right. What's the substitution for internal rotation?
Usually there's abduction, and
So how are you controlling for that?
so usually I would make sure her elbows tuck in.
Great. Okay. Good.
And for the passive, I'll bring out her arm. This. Bring out the Okay, bring her arm. Bring it here. Stabilizing the elbow.
Good. All right. There's a couple of things that you can do. I
Tucking towers.
yes. I would also have her move to the other side, so she's moving over to the right just a little bit. Good. And then get that towel in underneath. Good. So she's still out over the table. The humerus is relatively parallel to the table. Good. And the forearm is now over the edge. Good. Good stabilization with Diana's right hand, and her left hand is as far distal on that long bone as we're looking for. Good job. Good job. That looks professional. Okay, good job.
Taught her everything she knows.
All right, so there's like different kinds of ways to, we're gonna stretch out pec major. We were thinking the corner
Corner
stretch.
stretch.
Corner
So we go
stretch
into
is
the
good.
corner, place hands.
Yeah.
It's not really much corner.
We don't really have a corner.
No.
And-
All the way on that side.
And kind of like, and then you step into to make like this
Yes.
open up. Oh.
That's next.
Oh. So you're talking about the other stretch? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's static stretch.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, here's where I want you to think about pec major has two directional fibers, right? We've got the clavicular portion and we've also got the sternal portion. So how would you position the humerus, okay, in order to elongate the clavicular portion, and how would you elongate the sternal portion? Okay, and that gets which one?
Sternal.
Sternal. And then,
Go higher,
okay,
I guess.
a little higher for the clavicular portion. Okay, so just like, remember the challenge for gastroc and soleus is the position of the knee. Look at where the position of your arm, where your shoulder will be positioned, will get one set of fibers versus the other set of fibers on slack, okay, to get that elongation, okay? So that's static.
Okay, and I was kind of thinking, to do the, so, yeah, I had her prone.
Okay.
Yeah. So since we're doing, this would be resisting, and then I'll hold it 15
Okay.
here. And then
The
have it
back
relax.
muscles?
With
Yeah.
that,
What is the action of the pecs, of pec major? What does it do?
so I'll have
Okay, so actually you have to have her,
if I were to be working the agonist.
I like where you have her for the antagonist.
Okay.
Okay, so what is the antagonist? The antagonist is scapular scapular retraction. This is a good place for scapular retraction, so go ahead and do that. Okay? So this is good for scapular retraction.
So you're gonna have her lift her elbow up. And,
So it would go up
yeah, and up.
Mhm.
and then relax.
Okay? And then how could you, then where do you put in that static elongation? Okay, so think about pecs, So
Wouldn't I have to be supine?
you can be supine, or in that position, you can be at 90 degrees, or, and then elevate her a little bit, and up and up. Got it?
Wait.
You gotta stabilize this.
Can
Yes.
You, can you do that
And
again?
Stabilize the chest.
So here,
Good.
Ah.
Okay.
And then up.
Got it?
Okay.
Okay.
Sternoclavicular.
Yeah?
So will you do it twice to get both?
Both
To get
sections.
both sets of fibers. Yeah. Okay. Good. And then
No, for the automatic should be sitting.
for autogenic, the recommendation was get the patient in sitting. Because what you want to do is